By most accounts, President Trump's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, expected to walk out of court a free man after his sentencing hearing yesterday. But instead, a federal judge delayed his sentencing until the spring.
And in a blistering rebuke, the judge accused Flynn of arguably selling out his country and warned the retired general might go to prison for lying to the FBI, despite prosecutors' recommendation that he avoid jail. For now, Flynn will get more time to cooperate with the special counsel's Russia investigation.
So Paula Reid is outside of the U.S. District Court in Washington to talk about everything that unfolded yesterday. So I got to ask you, Paula, how unusual was Judge Sullivan's decision to delay this sentencing?
And Marie, I've never seen anything like this. Judge Emmett Sullivan, he shocked the courtroom when he opened this hearing by saying he could not hide his disgust and his disdain for what Flynn had done. He even went so far as to ask prosecutors why they weren't charging Flynn with treason. And Marie, that's a crime punishable by death. Now, the judge later apologized for that particular question. But by the time all of this had transpired, Flynn and his attorneys, they looked stunned, and they just took the judge up on his offer to delay sentencing so that Flynn could continue cooperating with the special counsel. Ultimately, the judge offered this 2 or 3 times, and Flynn was willing to take him up on this. But this is incredibly unusual, not only delaying a sentencing that seemed pretty cut and dry, but also all the judges editorializing from the bench.
Given that editorializing, the use of the word treason, the description of him potentially selling out his country, is any of this grounds to get the judge removed from the case?
Well, some people are praising the judge for coming down so hard on Flynn and for calling him out for lying to the FBI inside the White House when he arguably should have known better. But the problem is the judge didn't exactly have his facts straight. He falsely accused Flynn of being a lobbyist while working at the White House. After the recess, the judge came out and said, oh, look, I have to backtrack on that. I didn't have my facts quite straight. Flynn ceased his lobbying activity in November 2016. But if you're going to come out and sort of grandstand in this way, you better have your facts right. So the fact that the judge came out and accused Flynn of treason while he didn't exactly have all of the events in order and didn't really know exactly what he was talking about when it came to the details of the case, that's a problem. I think it can give General Flynn a legitimate concern about whether or not he's getting an impartial sentencing here. If I was his attorney, as a recovering attorney, if I was representing him, I may look into options to see if I could ask to have him removed from the case. I don't know if that would ultimately be successful, but this kind of event yesterday certainly raises some questions.
So, Paula, part of the reason that we all expected him to walk out without any sort of jail time is because that's exactly what the prosecutors had recommended. And they said, look, he was very cooperative with the special counsel's investigation. So, maybe he should just deserve a slap on the wrist. And that's what I thought would happen. But increasingly, I started to think maybe that's not going to happen. So now we've got this sort of sword of Damocles hanging over his head for the next few months as he cooperates more, I guess, with the special counsel's office, if there's any more for him to give, because it seems like he's given everything there is. Is there a possibility that if he can't cough up anything else, he might go to jail?
There is certainly a possibility that even if he can come up with something to, quote, cough up, he may still go to jail. The judge said, look, I can't promise you that when you come back, I won't sentence you to jail time. The max sentence for lying to the FBI is 5 years. But Flynn is the only person in the entire Russia investigation who Mueller has recommended receive no jail time. He met with them 19 times for 62 hours over the past year. There are questions about what more could he possibly do. There are a few cases where he could offer assistance, but yesterday in court, the special counsel wasn't exactly clear whether or not they needed his continued cooperation. So again, it remains unclear whether or not when he comes back in the spring, if he will be able to escape jail time.
As these Trump lieutenants have come in for legal trouble, the White House has consistently gone to this line. That happened with Paul Manafort as well, that what they're being accused of does not relate to President Trump, does not relate to the White House. And Sarah Sanders made that argument again yesterday, referring to Flynn's alleged activities as something that, quote, don't have anything to do with the president. In the case of Flynn, is that right?
Well, I guess it depends how you want to look at it. President Trump appointed Flynn as national security advisor over some warnings that he had received from previous administration officials. Flynn was lying to the FBI inside the White House about his contacts with Russia during the presidential transition. just like with Manafort, he admitted that some of the crimes, lying to banks, lying to the IRS, he continued that conduct while running the Trump campaign. Same with Richard Gates. Some of his criminal conduct extended his time during the campaign or the inauguration. So you look at all of these people and you're like, well, maybe the president may not have been there engaging in a conspiracy with you, but you were working for the president at that time. And the big question in all of this is, why are so many of the president's top associates convicted liars?
That is a very good question, Paula. I have a question for you. Who came out on top, do you think? Michael Flynn or the special counsel's office?
There are no winners here. You have a judge editorializing from the bench, doesn't even have his facts straight. That's not a great look for the federal judiciary. You have Michael Flynn, who again was lying to the FBI despite decades of public service while in the White House. And then you have the special counsel. This witness did everything that he could possibly do for them. They wanted to reward him, and this is still out there. This is still lingering, and it's not clear whether or not he will get what he was promised. Ultimately, there are no winners after what happened here yesterday.
Okay, back in court in March. Paula, thanks a lot.